don't be scared, but be smart. Rely on experts like travel advisors or our thoroughly vetted partners that we work with in travel insurance. You should always get travel insurance to protect your investment. It's not only cancellation insurance in case something happens, but it's also medical coverage while you're traveling.
Gloria Steinem once said, "We will never solve the feminization of power until we solve the masculinity of wealth." Barbara Provost and Maggie Nielsen are the team at Purse Strings that will help you navigate the ins and outs of financial independence so that you can be financially fearless. This is Women in Money, the shit we don't talk about.
Brenna, welcome to the show today. We are so excited to have you on. When I met you through our great friend Lauren, I was like, ooh, she's going to be a great guest because we talk so much about like budgeting and saving and investing. Let's talk about spending some of that money, you know what I mean, on some good travel. So before we dive in, can you share a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Brenna Girardi. I am the co-founder of Olivette Travel Design, a luxury travel agency. We are based in Michigan, but serve clients all over. And we primarily focus on high net worth, ultra high net worth travel. So we primarily plan trips for individuals, couples, families, and small boutique groups, which is usually either friend groups or a multi-gen experience. And we handle everything from, we can get you from your driveway and back, or we handle all the logistics on the ground so you can literally just show up. We have a nice little slogan that we like to say is, be a guest on your own vacation. And that is our ultimate goal with the trips we plan for clients.
Sounds so luxurious.
It does sound wonderful. Yeah.
That's the deal.
Where's like your favorite place you've been traveled to?
So I grew up in Southern California. So I am a beach girl through and through. So this past November, I was just in Bora Bora and at a private island resort called the Brando. And I could have stayed there for the rest of my life. The water is incredibly clear and calm, and it's like Hawaii on steroids. So you have like the great food and culture. It's very similar culturally to Hawaii, but the water is just incredible for swimming. And I think it gets this rap that it's super romantic, and it can be for sure, but it's also a great place to take your kids because, like I said, the water is so clear and calm. You can literally just lounge in it all day long. I will go back there year after year. There's nothing like it. And it's not even, so Hawaii's, connected through LA, it's 5 to 6 hours. Getting to French Polynesia, it sounds really far, but it's only about a 2 hour additional time in the air. So you're still connecting in LA or Seattle or wherever. So it's so much more accessible than people think.
Wow.
Should we go?
Let's put that on our list.
You've got to test out these places. It's purely for business.
Yes.
All right. So, Brenna, with everything happening in the world right now, inflation, uncertainty, chaos, I feel like this is how I'm starting all my podcasts recently, but God, what else is new? How should women be viewing spending on travel and experiences? Because I feel like this is the time where everyone just pulls back and freezes up.
Yeah, the concern is valid and we should all take a pause, but I think it shouldn't stop travel because I think now more than ever, with so much uncertainty in, like economically as well as politically, and it's so important to get out of our own bubble and see the world and experience other cultures. It just makes us well-rounded human beings. And I just think that's such an important piece, especially for taking your kids as well. As they're growing up, they should see all of these different cultures. And it really just makes them appreciate, one, who they are and their current surroundings, but also just makes for well-rounded people. And I think now more than ever, it's also important to work with an advisor. And that's because, one, we're constantly tracking all of these different changes. We had clients affected by the Venezuela strike. We've had clients affected by the Mexico and now by the Middle East. So we are staying on top of it, with our partners as well as, covering everything the government is doing to ensuring our clients are set up for the safest and most successful trip. And that also leads to we have incredible partners on the ground in every country in the world. So it's that added safety net of we have the local knowledge and backup when we can't be there in person with our clients. We have somebody our clients can rely on when they're in travel and they're in country. So I think those are the biggest things. I would say the biggest takeaway is don't be scared, but be smart. Rely on experts like travel advisors or our thoroughly vetted partners that we work with in travel insurance. You should always get travel insurance, to protect your investment. It's not only cancellation insurance in case something happens, but it's also medical coverage while you're traveling. There's so many nuances with it. And after the COVID pandemic, we saw how important it is for travelers to purchase travel insurance. I know it's not the most sexy thing to, you're spending all this money on this incredible trip, and then you have this other chunk that you have to pay for travel insurance. That's not always the cheapest, but it is so worth it in the long run.
I think when people want to go on a really lovely vacation, right? Someone's got to plan it. So let's say it's the mom, right? Or the one person who's the type A personality. But then everyone depends on that person for all their questions and all their tickets and where are we going next and is there a map? And I think that one person, why should they have to take that on, right? Why should that be their job when it's their vacation too? So do you find that when people are trying to create a great vacation for their family, there's usually somebody who has to be like the go-to person? And why should they have to take that on? Why not work with someone like you?
Yeah. Well, and I think as women, I had a client one time tell me, I was telling her about, I was thinking I need to hire an assistant, and she told me, find a mom because moms do everything. They manage their kids' calendars, they manage their own calendars, they manage their husband's calendars, they manage their dog's calendars, and then they're also managing the home. And they also work a full-time job, but they get it done. And so we are such multifaceted women that you are capable of managing all these things. Should you, though, is where, I think the question is, because you're right, you're never fully turning off. Travel should be restorative and give you the opportunity to reconnect with your family and with your kids, especially for women who are working full-time jobs. This is your opportunity to really turn off. And when you're the one doing the planning, you're right. You're the one who is responsible for everything under the sun when not only leading up to the travel, right, but also during travel. So, what happens when your flight is canceled or your train is delayed or, you've overbooked yourself. That's one of the things we see with ChatGPT these days. It's great as a tool, but it should not be your only resource in planning an itinerary, because if you'll go and ask ChatGPT what you should do, he'll tell you everything under the sun, and it's just not physically possible. And so we see a lot of people plan super aggressive trips and then travel ends up not being restorative. It was another job.
Let's take a quick pause to hear from this week's episode sponsor.
Travel should feel exciting, not overwhelming. But for many women, couples, and families, planning a truly meaningful trip can quickly turn into hours of research, decision fatigue, and second guessing. Hi, I'm Meredith Schnepp, founder of Sunkissed Bliss Travel. I design deeply personal, seamless travel experiences for busy, discerning clients who want beautifully executed trips without the time or guesswork of planning it themselves. I don't just plan travel. I act as your trusted confidant. I take the time to understand your preferences, your pace, and what truly matters to you, so every detail feels thoughtfully tailored. Through Sunkissed Bliss Travel, I combine high-touch, full-service planning with carefully vetted global partners, giving you insider access, seamless execution, and the confidence to make decisions without second-guessing yourself. Because your time is valuable, And your travel should feel just as meaningful as the investment you're making. Are you ready to plan your next experience? Check out the show notes to book your complimentary consultation.
Now back to our show.
Yeah, it can easily turn into a full-time job, especially, I mean, if you had kids there and a flight got canceled, I mean, that's just so much to manage. And it's so funny because I see all these people, young, I'd say more younger people in my age group who will go on these trips and like they have this thing where I've been to 20 countries. I'm like, you have spent 18 hours in each country though. Like you have been running spot to spot and you've never enjoyed it. Where like my friend and I, when we would go on a trip, like I was like, let's spend like 5 days here. Like let's see the place and enjoy it. Cause I'd rather go somewhere and really enjoy it than just be like running to the airport, running to the hotel, checking in, trying to get in all the tourist traps in the quickest time. And it's like, oh God, that's not even fun anymore.
Yeah, I think that's so, accurate. Everyone wants to see everything all at once, and you're not allowing yourself to immerse in the culture. There's nothing I love more than having like a free afternoon and going and finding a cafe and just people watching and drinking wine. And those are the moments that are unplanned, but you have to leave time for that. And so that's part of the thing that we're doing is advising clients, like, this is where you need to leave open time. Let's maybe cut out a destination so you can be longer in a certain spot. So definitely we have those conversations all the time, but it pays off, in the end, because they've had these small moments, and those end up being what's the most memorable is these little tucked away cafes that you found, and you're just sipping wine, and maybe you've met a local and you're chatting, and it just makes it such a special experience. And those are the unplanned ones.
It is those like people you meet in the park, people, you just meet out, and those make all the difference. And that like ChatGPT doesn't be like, go meet Betty at the shop, like it doesn't tell you that. So it's not as personal. And so, Brenna, I've heard you say before that travel isn't indulgent spending, but it's intentional investing. Let's dive into that. What do you mean by that?
So I'm sure you guys have either read it or heard of the book, but I just started reading it, Die with Zero. Have you guys read it? And obviously it is all about memory dividends. That I think is such an profound concept that, yes, it is a large investment, but it pays off years and years and years down the line. You're talking 20 years from now and your kids are grown and they're still talking about this incredible trip they took to Italy. Remember that pasta class we took?
Don't even get me started on that.
We actually did that.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a story we talk about all the time.
Okay. And so, but like, that's the thing. It's these memories that you've created, and time is finite where you don't know how long you have on this earth. And it's so important to spend it with the people you love and experiencing these monumental moments in life that may seem little, like drinking the wine at the cafe, but it's something that stays with you forever and ever past the point of purchase. And so I think, you're investing in so many things when it comes to travel. You're investing in the well-roundedness of your children. You're investing in the memories you're creating of them. There's so many positives that come out of travel that, that pay off for years and years and years.
I have to just say that's so absolutely true. I mean, when we took the kids to Disney and we had some experiences there that even today we talk about that were so funny. And the kids were young, but we had a lot of fun and we still just laugh out loud about it. And we also did the Italian trip, and we did the little local pizzeria where we made our own pizzas and stuff. And it was really a beautiful memory, and it was such an investment in spending time together. So brava, that's exactly why you need to invest in your travel, especially with your children. But I would say make sure your children are old enough to walk on their own and, go potty and all that. I'm not a big believer on dragging a lot of baby bottles and stuff, but when they're on their own and they can walk alongside you and engage with your activities, that's really, really fun.
That intentional investment, and kind of like what you were saying before, Brenna, is like learning other people and how they live and what that community is. Because I think in this world right now, there's so much polarity, and you learn so much just seeing like, oh, that's how they go to school. That's how they do these things. Because we're so used to just what we know. It seems, yeah, everyone gets on the yellow bus and does the thing all day, where it's like, no, we all come home, we have a big lunch, we have a siesta, we go back, whatever it may be. And so I think that dividends of being culturally aware. And it's not like, oh, I went to that school and I know it and I'm so immersed, but it's like, that's interesting. That's different. I remember just like going and I was like, oh, those are their mailboxes. Like, wow, those look so different. Like, it's like these little things and all of those add up. And so you become this person who is so diverse and understand like why I came here, what their experience might have been, or how it is different. I wasn't in your shoes, but I understand that it's different. And I think that's such an important message right now because America's huge, right? Like we have so many different populations within America and some people just travel in the country. But even getting out and being in some place where you're like, they don't speak English. And so you have to learn how to communicate in different ways. It's like, great. So this is deepening those communication skills, what I'm trying to say, how important it is, all these different things. I mean, you can't learn that in school.
Exactly. And sometimes it gives you patience for people who come to your own country. My niece who lives in Japan and Asia and all that she said the first month she felt like she was underwater because nothing was in our proper alphabet and our language and all of that. And it's just learning to navigate. And you're like, wow, so many people come to our country, don't know it either. And look how well they do, and it really gives you patience for other people that are traveling throughout our own country.
Yeah, and I think not only are your children getting these experiences, but you're now seeing it through their eyes. And so it makes you kind of look inward. And because they're so innocent when this is the first time they're seeing it, but sometimes we get a bit jaded and how we view the world, that when you have the opportunity to have these conversations with your kids and see it through their eyes, it opens your eyes too and makes you rethink the biases we might have internally and that we're not even aware of. So it's just all around. Travel is just, it unites people and makes you more understanding and patient, and it's important.
So what's the most like common mistake that, really actually costs women money when they're traveling? I'm sure we have all made them. So what can you share so we can be more aware?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the biggest I would say is probably the Airbnb VRBO market. Yes, and that is because there are hundreds of thousands Airbnbs, VRBOs, rentals, and it's just impossible for Airbnb or whatever platform to vet all of them. And so we'll find clients who decided to book in the Airbnb as opposed to going through the hotel because it was a bigger upfront cost, but it didn't account for the Airbnb pictures were 10 years old and the AC is broken or you've been double booked. Imagine being double booked on an Airbnb during the Olympics or something like that, and there's nowhere for you to go. And so now you're scrambling, so it's causing emotional and mental distress, but it's also costing you even more because now you're paying more premium prices because you're last minute and you're desperate. There's a lot of little things like that. That's why it's so important to ensure you're working with vetted partners and vetted hotels and properties. We do have a small collections of villas and apartments that we work with in various countries, but everything is thoroughly vetted. Our teams are going there and seeing the apartments and making sure that they're meeting the same standards because we'll never recommend something to our clients that we can't get behind. And so that we don't actually work with Airbnb or VRBO because of that. It's just impossible for us to vet all of them. And then one of the other things, I think, going back to relying on ChatGPT to put together your schedule and your itinerary and how aggressive it can be, you don't realize how exhausted this travel is going to make you. So maybe you miss a dinner reservation, maybe you have to cancel a tour. Those are the things, if you came to an advisor, we would advise you on in advance. So you're not making, this 7 p.m. dinner reservation when you finish your tour at 6 or things like that. And nowadays, all of the restaurants need your credit card to make a reservation because they'll charge you a fee if you don't cancel within a certain window. But how are you going to know that you're going to be so exhausted that you're not going to want to make the reservation? And so there are these little things that totally add up. Or waiting to buy museum tickets until you're there, and you're going through like multiple third parties, and so there's premiums on all of these things that If you would have just worked with an advisor from the get-go, we would either have told you avoid this or we'll purchase this through this partner. Everything we do is thoroughly vetted. It also comes down to the mental cost and emotion and getting back to not being fully present in your trip because you're the one managing all of those details. There's just so many different costs that like you should delegate to us to manage those costs. And when things do come up or there are issues, we have recourse that we can take so that you're not feeling the brunt of whatever the issue may be.
Wow. And here I thought you were going to say overpacking was a big mistake.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the mistakes I made the first time I went to Europe. Too many clothes.
I'm the queen of overpacking.
Good. It's not just me.
No.
Like having one of those bad Airbnbs before and like just trying to suffer through it and buy a different place. I mean, it is just such a pain. And it used to be great. I think there was a peak there. But now it's like, well, you didn't strip the bed, so it's $60. It's like, why am I stripping the bed and taking out the trash? Like, I thought I'm a guest here, you know? Like, there's all these kind of list of chores now when you're there as well. So I think those are all really good tips because it does get to be a lot, especially time zones, traveling, and even those dinners. Sometimes you got to remember, like, their dinner is not maybe 90 minutes like ours. Like, it's a 3-hour thing, so you can't have things back to back. I mean, you have to kind of look at how the culture is created there as well.
Yeah. And I think with the Airbnb thing, when you're booking a hotel instead, if there's something wrong with your room, they're going to move you to another room, right? The AC doesn't work. You have recourse to go to another room. And especially if you book through us, we have very important partnerships with all of these properties, with nearly every luxury hotel in the world, that they are going to ensure that you enjoy your trip. So whether that means they need to put you up and spend at a different property that's nearby, like they will go above and beyond to ensure you are well taken care of. And that's through our partnerships. And those are the little things that I don't necessarily like share in the first time call with a client, but it's there. You have so many more protections by going through us and through our partners.
I love that. And so when we kind of met, it was, you know, you work with a lot of financial advisors because they have clients who understand that delegating those investments to somebody else is kind of worth their time. They don't want to spend, they can do the investments if they want to, but like that's not of value to them. They would rather, you know, go do family or go do travel or do those other things. And so it's the same with you, kind of delegating the vacation to somebody else. So what does that kind of say about how you value your time?
Well, I think with dealing with a lot of these financial advisors and with a lot of my own clients, most of our clients are founders, executives, C-suite level type of clients, and their time is valuable. And again, time is finite. You only have so many hours in a day, and you have your own full-time job, oftentimes more than just full-time, right? That you are managing. And just like you would delegate to one of your subordinates or someone, your assistant or your accountant or your financial advisor, you should be delegating your travel. We say to clients all the time that you have a financial advisor, you have a lawyer, you have a CPA, you should have a travel advisor because we are the experts in our fields. You know, I think the internet is great, but it's also a black hole and you don't know which reviews you can trust or which sites are good and were they paid to put those reviews up. So there's that aspect of delegating to us as well, that you have those protections. But I think it really truly comes down to our little fun slogan of being a guest on your own vacation. Because by working with us, it truly allows you to disconnect. And that's what these high level women in these very important business roles need. They need to disconnect. They need to reconnect with their families. And if you have a week trip and you're constantly, you know, Mom, where are we going next? What's next? What's next? What's next? We have a great little app that everyone gets access to and they just look, okay, here's what we're doing tomorrow. So not everyone's asking Mom what's next. And then if something comes up, Mom is sending me a text or sending our partner a text and we're handling it. And you guys go out and have a nice lunch. We'll take care of it and everything will be ready by the time you're done with lunch. So it's giving you the freedom to, you know, and fully disconnect and enjoy. And it's travel. Things come up. Like even if you are planning through advisors, but it's who's handling those things, those issues that come up. Is it you when you're supposed to be disconnecting and reconnecting, or is it me and my team who have all of these like insider partnerships that can move quicker than what you have access to?
And let me ask you this question. Brenna, who pays you? Do you get paid by the client that hires you, or do you get paid by the different associations and groups that you work with?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And I think it's very important for financial advisors, right? So we do charge a planning fee up front. On average, it's about $500, just depending on how complicated the trip is. And that really is to protect our time. Our time is very front loaded in the planning process of building the proposal. And then how we are compensated other than that is through commissions from the hotels, from our partners on the ground. The example I like to use a lot is if a client goes to Four Seasons, their website, and the room is $1,000, they'll come to us and the same room is $1,000, but they get all these extra perks like breakfast, resort credits, upgrades through our partnership. And then the hotel pays me a commission on the back end. So it's not necessarily more expensive to book through an advisor. The one thing I will say is it's not comparing apples to apples if you're going on like a Viator or, TripAdvisor, because the partners that we are working with are primarily, B2B. So only working directly with travel advisors. But that's because their small group of guides, their career guides, their career drivers, they are people who have been thoroughly vetted. So it does come at a premium cost compared to going online and finding a local guide or a local driver. I just like to be upfront with that, but it pays off. Like we were going back to investing in travel and why it's important, because there are other costs associated when things don't go right the first time. So yes, it's a higher upfront cost typically if you're comparing apples to apples to what's published online, but you're paying for the experience that you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It seems like it can really become a wash after a while if you save money on buying those tickets in advance and having these tips and those kind of other things, but also just kind of being able, because there is a point where you're like, God, I forked out 10 grand for this trip and I didn't even get to unplug. So it's kind of like, was it even worth it? Where it's like, if I paid 11 grand, I could have totally unplugged and it could have been on somebody else's thing, And it's like, how much more are you willing to pay just to actually get its value out of it?
And peace of mind.
Yeah.
I find too, the clients that I work with that are at this level of the C-suite executive level, they have no issue, they don't want to deal with it. And so they understand delegating, things. I mean, it's the age old saying, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. I think it's important to a certain extent for all of us to stay in our quote unquote lane and then all work together cohesively. There are reasons, you hire your lawyer, your CPA, and I hire my own financial advisor because I could never know how to invest in the stock market and things. And so I think at this level, people understand the need for delegating.
And then I think the other thing, when we for one time went to Italy, mom took us and it was me and my brother and we met a lot of different family there. But there was my aunt hired a travel agent who helped book a lot of things. And she had us book these things that were just not like the top 10 Google things. It wasn't what every tourist and their brother has done. It's not there with all these other Americans all taking their Instagram videos. It was like, wow, we are the only kind of Americans here. I feel like this is super authentic. It's this real hole in the wall, which was so different and so much more worth it, because sometimes it's like, dude, I left the country to get away from this. Like I wanted to experience something new and now I'm with all these TikTokers. Like that's not my MO. And so I think that's just such a great thing. It's like, no matter how many pages deep you go on Google, you might never know like this little grandma who does this thing that's so unique. But you guys do, because you guys have 1,000 people around the countries doing these different things, which I think is so amazing. Are there any like super unique things that you've had clients wanted to do or like you've suggested to clients?
Sure. Well, I think it definitely depends on spend.
Of course.
We can make anything happen.
Brenna's like, whatever money you give, we can use it.
Yes. No, we've privatized the Vatican for clients after hours. You can go into
Okay.
you can go into the Louvre before hours with one of the curators. There are, oh gosh, there's so many like unique things. You can pretty much privatize any cathedral you want. with the right connections. But I think a lot of what I appreciate are those little moments, those little hole in the walls that, a lot of the times when clients come to us, they want to go somewhere. And a lot of the times clients want to book all of their dining reservations in advance. And typically that is because of what they've seen on TikTok or Instagram and stuff. But I think it's important to book a few key meals, but I think one of the other things is relying on your guides, your drivers, or your hotel that you meet, or when you're there, because your guide knows the hole in the wall local spot that you should be going. And so does your driver, and so does the front desk person. I love chatting with like bartender at the hotel I'm staying in. What's your favorite place? And so finding those little things I think is really important, but you have to be in the position where you're working with those types of guides and drivers and staying at those particular hotels. One of my clients also reached out, and this I guess just speaks a little bit to me how I differ maybe from other travel advisors is I'm kind of pushy and a little impatient. My husband really loves it too. But I had a client reach out to me and he wanted to go to snow polo in St. Moritz, which do you know what that
No.
is?
No.
So nor did I. And it is literally they play polo on the frozen lake in St. Moritz.
With horses?
Yes,
Where's St. Moritz?
in Switzerland.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's like this, I mean, stunning ski town. What the horses do, this is like a side note, but apparently I've learned so much about this that they let the horses on the ice. And if the horse is comfortable walking on the ice, then the games will happen. If the horse is not comfortable walking on the ice, then they don't do the games.
It's all based on the horse.
Yes. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? But anyway, so I did all of this research and found out all of the different hotels were sold out, all of the tickets were sold out. And I called pretty much every Switzerland partner in my Rolodex, got a lot of no's until I finally got a yes. And I was able to secure for them a suite at one of the top hotels in St. Moritz, as well as the VIP tickets. And so I love those types of challenges. I think they're fun. I think it challenges me and gives me the opportunity to shine and show my worth, as a travel advisor.
Wow, and I just thought like making pizzas and a little hole in the wall was cool, but sure,
It is
sure.
cool. It is
No,
cool.
it just the value to me is just so clear on how it can really just elevate your trip, make all the money worth it, make the time and energy worth it, and enjoy the trip, right? I mean, that's what it's there is to really enjoy. So, after helping women design meaningful experiences around the world, what does financial freedom look like for you personally?
Always being able to fly first class would be ideal.
I love that one.
I've never flown first class. I want to do it.
Oh my gosh, once you do it, it's really hard to go back.
That's what I've heard. That's why I haven't yet.
No, that's like on my vision board, for the year is like, okay, I'm gonna work my butt off to be able to fly first class on every long haul trip. Because once you can lay flat, it's really hard to go back to sleeping upright. And then traveling with my family. So I was able to take my mom on a 2-week trip to Europe last year. And it was her first time exploring all these different countries. And it was just so special to be able to do that for her, to take her to see all these different cool places. And she got to see me in action too, meeting with the different hotel partners we stayed with. And doing things like that is really important to me and so gratifying. It makes all of the hard work worth it. I'm taking her on another trip to Croatia this year, which is, fun fact, one of my other favorite spots. And then I'm going to take my younger brother to Normandy because he's a huge history buff. But I think there's nothing more satisfying than that. I mean, I love a good purse, but those are the things that create the memory dividends that stay with you forever.
And do you lead trips yourself, Brenna?
Not typically. If it was a particular client that needed something like I will make anything happen. I don't typically take no for an answer, so I don't necessarily expect my clients to take no from me. And so I'm always game, but typically it's me just doing the planning and managing of a trip.
Well, this has been so fun. And I think the last kind of takeaway that I just want to add is I was thinking about you taking your mom on this trip, which it's so great that she's like physically able to do this. And I think so often we talk about saving and investing and all this stuff. And when I'm retired, I'll do these things. And I hate to say it, but that's not always guaranteed. Our health is not guaranteed. Our future is not always guaranteed like that. So like living these moments up while we're physically capable, while we can travel and sit up in a chair and sleep for 8 hours to get across the ocean is not taken for granted, and to really use all this hard work, all this money we've been saving, all this time, and enjoy it and really enjoy it and make those, because that's what we're here to live for. We're here. I hate the, work to live to work, whatever, but like we're here to live. Let's go use that money and make those best memories with the ones that we love. So see where you can merge that into your life now instead of waiting till whatever milestone you're putting on your board.
Don't put it off.
Yeah, so call Brenna. Call
Brenna. No, but thank you, Brenna, so much for coming on today and sharing your expertise. This has been so much fun and such a different episode for us, which is always great because we gotta spend the money we've been earning and working for. So I can't wait to see where the next trips are and where the women in our community are going to go. So thank you again for coming on and sharing your expertise. And until next time, I hope everyone's financially fearless. You've been listening to Women in Money, the shit we don't talk about. Now it's time to take what you've learned and make bold moves towards financial independence. Stay in the know by joining our newsletter for exclusive tools, resources, and updates that keep you financially fearless. Head to pursestrings.co and sign up today. Need a financial professional who gets it? Turn to Purse Strings' curated directory, your go-to resource for financial experts who know how to put you first. Love this episode? Leave us a review and help us empower even more women to own their financial power. Until next time, be financially fearless.